Hello, welcome back to Young Meets Old. We are on location in my backyard, and we'll be doing a 30 to 40 minute spiel until we run out of material.
Who are you again?
I'm Jeff. I'm old.
Okay, I'm Dan and I'm young.
And he's so young he can still drink coffee without complications. I'm going to quickly refresh on our format. We're still deciding.
We have a format?
We're going to have a format eventually. We're going to settle in, and since we're in Thailand, we thought we would try to tell some nice stories of Thailand, give a little insight to our watchers about what it's like to live in Thailand and to be an expat. Maybe talk about some of the cultural things, but then we're also, of course, it's young.
Football. What about football?
What about football?
It's
I think
on.
We've all had enough football by this time in the summer.
Come on, England.
I've been watching 6 to 8 hours a day, and even I can't watch any more football.
Okay.
But young meets old.
Episode 2.
We would also like to have the format revolve around maybe lessons that I've learned, and then the bright impact, the passionate impact of being a young person. And
I need to learn
they
something from you.
And so there will be teachable moments. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our technical director, and he's perhaps going to show a little bit about where we are.
Let's check out the yard.
Let's check out.
Jeff, you have a lovely
set.
house.
Thank you.
Here we are. Here we go.
There we go. And hopefully this is all going to work. And
I can see everything you can
so
see. Look at it.
this is the jungle of Chiang Mai. We're at the base of the Doi Suthep mountain. It's a lovely day. It's a little bit warm, but we're in Thailand, so of course it's going to be warm.
Your garden is how many square meters? Big.
That's as big as you're showing right now, however many that is.
And we've got fruit trees, no?
We have a lot of fruit trees. My wife is a wonderful gardener, and we're excited because it's the fruit season. The mangoes are in, the longan are in.
What is a longan?
The passion fruit. A longan is a small lychee-like fruit, and so everything's popping up, and we're excited.
Wow.
We're not going to show you that we're excited, and then I guess we'll film ourselves. All right.
Here we are, back down.
That's back to Dan. So while Dan's getting settled and enjoying his coffee and waking up, I thought I would tell a story about Thailand and the language here.
Yeah, well, it's interesting.
And it's challenging. Some of you may or may not know that the Thai language is a tonal language, and so one word can be pronounced 5 different ways, and that, it's mind-boggling.
It's a nightmare.
It's impossible to learn Thai. Let's start by that premise. Do not try to learn Thai. But I would like to tell a little story. This is the Thai culture part of the show. And this story revolves around the tones and me mispronouncing the tones. So I've invented a drink, Dan. You may ask yourself, what drink
have you made, Jeff?
What drink have you invented? We all know that there's vodka and orange juice, and that would be called?
A vodka and orange. A screwdriver. I knew that. Young meets old, lesson 1.
Yeah. And there's orange juice and tequila with a little something else, and that's called a
porn star.
Yeah, tequila sunrise.
Tequila sunrise. Damn.
But there is no orange and rum drink, and so I have created a rum and orange juice cocktail, which I call the Island Breakfast.
Wow.
Because there's also a plane flying overhead. We'll just edit that out through the magic of science. So I would like to tell a story. I was in Phuket Beach. Phuket is a very famous beach in Thailand.
It's beautiful.
We've been there.
Been there twice.
What are your impressions of Phuket?
Well, when I first went, it wasn't as busy as it is now. Now it's much busier. But it's still beautiful, and there's a lot of different beaches you can go around to, and they're all different. Some of them are more quiet and more beautiful than others. And I love to swim in the ocean. Phuket's pretty lovely. A little bit more expensive than Chiang Mai. Not sure if I'd want to live there. But one thing you miss in Chiang Mai is having the ocean and having the beach. So it's good to have that just an hour away, to just go for a little week away, or even a weekend.
A two-hour flight, just for anyone
flight.
keeping track. But it's inexpensive to fly down there. Yeah, I would say that's a good summary of Phuket. Another thing I like, which is the intro to my story, is that there are many bamboo-type bars and restaurants on the beach.
And ladyboys.
Right, yeah, well, whatever floats your boat. But having these restaurants and beach and bars right on the beach, it's toes in the sand. You can sit there, you can surf, you can body surf, you can do all of those things.
Just
Hopefully
straighten that up.
We're recording. Yeah, let's make
Everything's
us
looking great.
straight after talking about ladyboys. We want to make sure we're straight. So my story revolves around me and my experience ordering an island breakfast on the beach in Phuket. So picture this, we're on this gorgeous beach, the sun is going down, it's time to have a cocktail. I see what I think is going to be a good place to get my island breakfast, and I have to give a little more background. So rum in Thailand, the main rum is called Sang Som. Sang Som, that's the rum. And orange juice in Thailand is called Nam, or water, Som, Nam Som. So that's orange juice. And the word for three, Nung, Song,
Sam.
Sam is the word for three.
So I'll have a Nang Song, Sam Som, Sam.
Yeah. So
and if his name's Sam, you're screwed.
So if he asks you what's your name, you say, so I went to order my drink, and this was not from a bustling bar. This was from an older Thai gentleman who was just making drinks for the people who were in the area. And I proceeded to order, and I said Sang Som, and he nodded his head, and I assume he knew
You
what
thought
I
he
wanted.
meant, yeah. You thought he knew what you wanted.
And I said Sai, which means with, Nam Som,
Oh.
and he nodded his head.
Yep.
And I said Kop Kun Krap, which means
Thank you.
thank you. And I went back to my chair,
Thinking
and
everything was
thinking
kosher.
I was getting
A
drink,
nice and you love cocktails.
An island breakfast.
You
I
love 'em.
I love a breakfast at sunset. So when I returned a few minutes later, I noticed that there were 3 cocktails that all looked the same on the table, and I realized, going back to my Thai lesson, that he had made me Sam 3 Nam Som Sang Soms, which cost me about $4. So I wasn't super upset, and I proceeded to drink all 3. Maybe I gave one away.
You can
And
easily
so
drink 3 of
that's
those.
our first lesson. If you're going to make a mistake speaking Thai, do it about the number of cocktails that you're ordering, and you can't go wrong.
Well, that was a great story, Jeff.
I'm exhausted. Cut.
Cut.
Next.
Episode 3.
Next.
Welcome back. It's Young Meets Old. So you had a couple stories, and that was one of your stories. I would like to interject with one of my stories.
Yes.
I was feeling a little bit insecure about my level of Thai, but recently I don't care as much. I would like to learn more though. But when I first came here and I did the tourist visa for 6 months, I learned the basics to get by. And then I started the education visa, right? So then I was supposed to learn Thai. I only went for the first few months to the lessons, and then I stopped.
Right.
Started teaching.
Or be deported.
Right.
Yes.
The problem comes when you have to go to immigration and get the stamp to say you've got another 90 days, 3 months at a time. So I had to do that 3 times, and it got progressively more embarrassing to go to immigration, and my Thai hasn't improved at all. In fact, it's probably got worse.
Because you weren't studying.
Because I wasn't studying. But there was one time where I remember I went to immigration and I saw the woman behind the counter, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to say some Thai. And I'd been there from 9 a.m. It was now 4:30. I'd been there all day, and I was exhausted by that point. I was so sick of being twiddling my... No, I bring my laptop and work.
He works.
I write articles and stuff. But then I go up there and I think, and I can't even remember what I'd rehearsed to say. Like, hi, I'm Dan in Thai, and I'm a teacher, and I teach English, and I'm from England, and I was going to say all this whole spiel.
I've been studying Thai for months.
And they always ask you, have you got a girlfriend, like Fan, his girlfriend, and I was going to say, yeah. So, and I've been studying Thai, Kun Pasat Thai, Hok Duan, 6 months. Ooh, and instead of that, I went up and ordered a load of food. And I don't think she took it offensively, and it could have easily been taken badly, but she really laughed a lot. I really made her day. I just went up there and she said, Sawadee ka. And I just went, yeah, Pad Thai guy, pisset, Pad Thai, Mukata, and then Suki Hangai, pisset. I just ordered a bunch of food, and she just looked at me like I was crazy and then started laughing. and then stamped my passport.
And stamped your passport.
And so I remember that was a fun day at the immigration. At the end, it's never a fun day because you're there all day, but they have improved it now.
And I'd like to comment on that because I think the old perspective is slightly different from your perspective. And the old perspective is we've all been in these government offices and we see these government workers, and they probably don't like their jobs and they want to pass the time. And so when a person like you comes in
with
and
a sense of
interjects
humor,
that humor and your bubbly personality, and plus, I mean, let's face it, folks, he's handsome as all get out. I'm sure that she was,
Thanks.
you know, that took her away. That really made her day, because the other people that come in there, they're probably upset. They don't want to be there. They don't want to perform. So I think that's from my perspective, that's an important thing, especially in a foreign country when you're dealing with bureaucrats. You want to come in with that positive smile on your face, sunshine attitude, and you're more likely to get good service.
Yeah.
And in this case, a pass.
Right. You've only got to show
Great
that
story.
you're making an effort. Thanks.
Great story.
Making a little bit of an effort, and you've learnt some Thai. If you go in there and you've learnt no Thai at all, and you can't say a word of Thai, you might have a problem. And so that's why people can. I mean, there are other services you can pay for. You can have someone go with you, or you can avoid going to the immigration altogether. I think there are ways around it, but I don't know about those. Do your own research.
And we're sticking on the subject of Thai immigration.
What's the subject?
Yeah, the subject is when I have some kombucha stuck on my tongue. So, young versus old, or young meets old. So the young perspective is it's not easy to stay in Thailand. The old perspective is you're over 55, then you can get a retirement visa, and it's much easier to get a long-term visa, a year stay permit, whatever you want to call that.
It can be a headache.
That's another aspect where young meets old in Thailand.
It can be a headache. I mean, especially on the tourist visa, you've got to keep doing these land crossings every few months, and you've got to keep leaving the country, and it gets old.
And you're limited
quick.
to 2 land crossings per 12 months.
And then you got to start flying and just, I don't know, figuring out a different type of visa. I did the education. It is going to be easier for me now because I just got back from Laos, where I had a good time actually.
Yeah, let's hear about
for
that.
a week. Well, you got another story.
Yeah, after my good story, you can, if we're really running out of time, you can talk about your time in Laos.
No, I went to Laos. I got my work visa. Now I have a work visa, so it should be much easier for me now.
Yes, and so there's umpteen websites and probably podcasts and certainly videos about Thai immigration and the visa situation and how to get a job as a teacher. And we won't necessarily go there, but as we have funny stories, we'll just make fun of those videos and podcasts and websites. But yeah, we won't go deep into that. So yeah, I'm out of material. No, I do. I have
how to get a Thai wife.
At the end of well, I think we can talk a little bit about the social scene. I see a lot of very disparaging Facebook posts about Thai women and relationships.
Such as?
Well, I saw one today about where do I go to meet regular Thai women?
What does that mean, regular?
Well,
regular.
I think Thailand has a reputation, which I think is somewhat undeserved for being a place where the women are out. There's a lot of gold diggers. There's a lot of what people will call bar girls or, escorts or whatever. And I believe the actual statistics are that there's a smaller percentage of professional working, I don't want to use the word, so I won't use it, but professional women here. There are fewer professional, I'm just going to say it, prostitutes here than there are in many of the first world developed countries. So we're probably going to edit this part out, so I don't really want to talk about this. But anyway, the post was just, and then a lot of people commented, as they do on Facebook and other platforms, and they just immediately go negative and say, forget it, you're never going to find a normal Thai girl here. They're not interested in, young guys, and they either all want money or they want rich, Thai men, you just get tired of reading all of
So you're saying these are all
comments.
Misconceptions about Thailand?
I don't know that they're misconceptions. I just think that why does everyone here? This is the topic I want to. Why do people tend to always dwell on the negative? Why are there so many people that are on Facebook that are just waiting to pounce on somebody and either criticize their English or criticize their comment or just
because
negativity.
There are nice, educated Thai women,
absolutely,
who are very nice and friendly and not out for money, and they will meet a guy no matter what his age, young, old, and people can fall in
Regular
love just like they fall in love in any country.
Right, regular relationships.
And then you can get settled down and get married and do whatever the hell you want with your life.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to look pessimistically on anyone, except if the guy's like pushing 90 and the woman's like 20.
Yes.
And then obviously there's a problem.
Yes.
But even then, let people do whatever the hell they want.
Well, that's right. As long as everybody's aware and nobody's trying to pull one off on the other one. And here's another young meets old. So the perspective is when I was Dan's age, which was quite a
29.
long time ago.
35 years ago, Jeff.
It was a long time ago. I barely remember it, but those were the days in the States, at least, and I'm sure in the country, wherever you are, that we would go out to meet women to have sex. I said it.
What? What?
Yeah, not necessarily
you can't say that.
to meet. Well, when I was in college and
you're gonna get us cancelled.
School, yeah, I went out to bars, to meet women and have sex, and so why is that so different? Why?
That still happens.
Well, yeah, well, I think it happens. I think.
But I've read statistics on this. I think young
down.
people are having less sex, and I think dating apps are a big problem in the dating and relationship culture. Actually, it's causing issues. I think this.
What kind of issues?
Well, it's just tough to really go into it in detail, but I mean, looking at a phone and swiping women is a very disconnected way to meet someone.
I see.
Would you agree? You don't really know that person, and then they'll send you some impersonal, crappy message like "hi," and then you have to come up with something interesting to say, and the whole system's just
hi yourself.
Right.
That's
the whole
incredible.
system. It can be great, and it can make people meet up more and get out of their comfort zone, but it can also be totally like robot style dating, and it's not organic. It's not human.
I'm sure there's many podcasts on this, but it does seem the swiping right. I mean, that's obviously just the physical. Just what does that person look like?
Yeah.
And maybe to some extent, what expression do they have on their face? Are they looking sexy? Are they smiling? Are they laughing? Is it a comical type thing? But
then you've got what they write.
It's just physical. Yeah,
but even that, you can't sum up a person.
Do you even look at what they write?
You do sometimes, not always.
But only after they pass the look test.
No, you can read someone's bio. On the one, so I used to use Bumble mainly. There's different apps, and they all kind of come with their own territory. Like Tinder is more for hooking up.
Yeah,
Bumble, the woman has to message you first, so that's like the hook. But whichever one you use, it's never going to be as good as meeting someone in person, in my opinion. I think that's the way that humans should meet. But there are people who meet on a dating app and then have happy relationships, so you can't completely discount any of these things.
And I would say to some extent the dating app and having more complete information so that you can more quickly and efficiently filter through people. Sure, you have the pictures, which may have been taken 20 years ago, so that's an issue that I've heard about, of course.
Catfish.
And the catfish, yeah, who wants a catfish? But also, it makes sense that if you were to list like 20 of your likes and they were to list 20 of their likes and you make a connection, that's a very efficient way to possibly meet a potential match.
That's where the dating apps have started to improve, and if you actually match based on all these different data, but then it's still I don't know, we're harvesting a lot of data these days, Jeff. We should be potentially worried about the amount of data that we just hand over to these corporations and go, here, take my life, tell me what job to do and tell me who to marry.
It's overwhelming.
It's just ridiculous.
I told a story to my friend the other day on the telephone. He was in America, about a gecko, large gecko. If you don't know what large geckos look like, I encourage you to look those up on Google or whatever you use. And my wife had captured this large gecko.
I used to date a gecko.
And it was an amusing story.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, you have a lot in common. And so I was telling this story, and when I returned to my computer, there was ads for geckos on my computer, on my
So
feed.
this is a common thing where people say my phone's listening to me.
That's right.
And
this was my
and
computer.
it pretty much
my
almost
computer.
entirely your computer.
Yeah,
So all of it
right,
is. I'm
yeah.
sure it all is.
Right.
But you don't know. It's nothing is on its face value. I mean, you don't buy a MacBook and they don't say, "Oh, by the way, the microphone's always on," but you don't know, and it's listening. And but it probably is.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. So
Look,
we didn't know we were
folks,
going to talk about dating apps.
It's going to be a million years.
Yeah.
Look, vote for me.
So
4 more years. Pause.
So I'm still on the format. Another thing that we're going to do is during the week, Dan and we're master impressionists. We haven't told you that, but we are.
And he's a hypnotist.
Let's face it. And the next show, I promise we're going to do hypnosis. But during the week, we're going to do little comical segments, and then we're going to review them on this show.
When you hypnotize me, are you going to steal my data or just my
I'm
soul?
going to have a gecko. I'm going to perform a ceremony between you and a gecko.
Right,
Yes.
right.
But it's a nice gecko. You'll like its profile.
Right.
Bugs on me. Okay, so what I would like to do in each show, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to do this. I'll have to give it some thought. But I would like to tell a story of something that happened to me when I was young.
Okay.
That probably it's something I regret, and now looking back, I realized I handled that situation incorrectly.
And then you can teach me how to deal with that when it comes up.
Perhaps. I don't think this exact episode.
God, I'm going to learn
I
something.
don't think this is going to have any. So my story goes back to when I was in college, and I went to school at a university in Florida, and they were having a famous comedian do a show, and it was Jay Leno. And he's a very famous person, and if you don't know him, after you look up Gecko, you can look up Jay Leno on your computer. And so Jay did a show. He was very funny, and I went out to the local bar. It was called the Port, and you'd think that it would have been a really nice bar on the river and the water, and that's why it was Port. No, it was at the airport.
Oh.
So it was horrible, just small planes coming in and out. So I was positioned at the front of the bar. It's a large bar, picture like a grocery store sized bar, very
wow.
big.
Yeah.
And in walks Jay Leno alone into the bar after he had just done his show.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked in, and there was literally no one noticed him. It was pretty dark. No one noticed him. And he started walking towards me in my direction, and I walked over to him. And instead of saying something like, "Wow, Jay, that was an amazing show, man. Let me buy you a beer," and we'd probably still be friends to this day, because I'm sure that only happened to him every other time he ever did a show. I went over to him and I said, "Hey, man, we don't want your kind in here."
Whoa.
A totally negative, defensive, sarcastic thing.
Why did you say that?
I guess because I was brought up with older brothers, and my humor was always sarcasm and sort of being defensive, and I regret that to this day. And so my lesson to all you younger people out there is just take a beat when, obviously I was probably nervous, and it was a situation where here was a guy that I knew, and from TV and celebrity and all that.
You wanted to make a good first impression, but
I wanted to say something maybe before anybody else, but take a beat, think about it, and always go positive. That's what like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. I probably was high, but that's no excuse. So I regret that, and so my message.
I think
is
that's
be more
relatable
positive.
for everyone, because everyone occasionally makes a bad first impression. I've done it a lot of times, and it's something that it can become a habit, or you can make the mistake more than once and keep making it occasionally and not learn the lesson. You can subconsciously go, oh well, next time I meet someone, I'll make sure not to do that again, or say something like that. But then you just eventually do it again. So you really have to make an effort not to say something really freaking stupid.
And try to program. I think it's also about programming positivity into your social interactions.
I think it's tough when you're an extrovert and you watch a lot of comedy and you always try to be funny. You've got like the Chandler Bing syndrome, and then when you meet someone, sometimes I think when I was younger, I used to think that everyone would just automatically get your humor. As soon as you start talking, they're going to be laughing with you, and you're going to match. But you might meet someone where they don't really have that kind of sense of humor, or they don't really get. The last time I nearly messed up was at what's that jazz bar that we went to with the free jazz, where I played some tiny keyboards. Papu House.
Northgate?
No, Papu House. We was at Papu House, which is in Old Town. It's like a free jazz kind of place, kind of hippie place. I don't go there often. And I just met some woman at the end of the night as I was walking out, and she said to Florence, who's the girl I'm dating, that she's married. And I just made a really sarcastic kind of like, "Oh, you're married?" like this, trying to get her to, laugh. It was just a joke.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But she was like this, like thinking I was serious. You know, she didn't realize I was making a joke. So she was probably thinking, what the heck, dude? Like, yeah, I am married. What are you trying to say? Like, I can't find a husband? That's what she was thinking. And then Florence had to reassure her, oh, you know, ignore him. He's joking. So I have to be aware that sometimes I come across as a complete nut job, but you know, just have to.
Sometimes
you've got to think about that.
Yes, and I also think this is a lesson in Thailand or any other foreign country. Like, I have an American sense of humor. The Brits have a great sense of humor, great comedies and things like that. But that doesn't always translate well in foreign countries to foreign people. So yeah, you have to be a little bit careful about your natural inclination to be sarcastic. So that brings me to a topic which I wanted to discuss at one of these, but this is a great time. So I have made the statement that everything that is funny makes fun of something or someone or some concept. And so this has been something I've debated with other people. I'd like to get your take. If something is funny, it could be physical humor. You see someone trip, that makes you laugh.
Okay.
You make fun of yourself, self-deprecation. You make fun of someone else. Is there always something that is deprecated, that is, you know, put down, even if it's just conceptually, when you laugh? Let's think about that, and I'd like your reaction. Can we think of?
Surely not always.
Well,
sometimes you can.
not.
Sometimes you can laugh at stuff that isn't, again, like, it doesn't have to be a put down on someone else or yourself.
Give me an example.
I was going to say
Episode 3, we'll be diving in.
I was thinking when you do an impersonation, but I guess you're impersonating someone or an accent.
Sure.
So that doesn't count.
Yeah. So this is something to ponder.
I've been gaining weight lately, and I think it's I have like a sleeping disorder related to my weight gain, and it's called insomnomnomnomnia.
And
that's self-deprecation, so it doesn't count.
It does count. No,
that counts.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that there's always a target which is being made fun of, even if it's you're making fun of yourself, or I'm making fun of you, or someone farts. Yeah, my point is that
your sense of humor is very refined.
We're probably going to edit that last part out. I'll come up with a better example, but my point is that I believe that every time you laugh and something is funny, there is a target of that is being somehow made fun of.
I don't know, if you watch stand-up, they make fun of like supermarkets, and that's not really a person. It's kind of, you can make fun of businesses.
I'm not saying it's a person. I'm saying there's always a target of the humor, and you're always which is the opposite.
You're trying to find subjectless humor.
Yeah. Well, and it's really a matter of, like, we think of, well, humor is great. It makes feel. Who doesn't like to laugh? Everybody likes to laugh. But are we in fact taking a little bit away from that subject because we're making fun of it?
Probably. Anyway, when I was recently in Laos, or Laos, as some people call it, I got out of my comfort zone a little bit and got on stage with a band at Hard Rock Cafe.
Wow, nice.
Did I tell you about this?
No.
Well, I am a professional musician, and I used to perform at weddings, and now I perform once a week with a jazz band in Chiang Mai, and we do well out of that. That's fun. We enjoy it, I should say, and sometimes I do Tuesday nights as well as Wednesday nights at the Northgate Jazz Bar. But aside from that, it's still slightly out of my comfort zone to just get up on stage with a random band that are really good and hold my own. And I guess the message here, or the point, is that you can get out of your comfort zone sometimes and force yourself to do shit that you wouldn't normally do.
Like this podcast.
I
wouldn't necessarily normally do
There's no reason for us to do this podcast. There's no money in it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Wait, you told me there was going to be money in it.
So why bother is my point. Why bother doing anything? But yet we do it, even though there's no...
Pass the time.
Yeah.
Tell my stories to the world.
But I was in Hard Rock Cafe. I've only been
let's hear that.
I've only been twice. Well, actually, I've never been in a hard rock cafe. I've been to them, but not been in them. I've always wanted to perform because the bands are big, rock. I've never really played with a rock band.
Okay.
You know, this band had 3 singers. Both guitarists sang, and there was another guitarist who didn't sing. So that's 3 guitarists and a bass player, drummer, and the female singer was very good too. And they did everything. They did the modern song by Hosier that's just come out. I don't know if you'll know it, but the song is "I'll take my whiskey lean."
Yeah, I've been hearing the hell out of that
My
song.
coffee blackened and my bed at 3. She sang that very well.
Okay.
But they also did a load of old Eagles songs.
And
Such
what did
as,
you do?
They just did a real eclectic mix, and then I asked in the break if I can play, and they said yes, and then I did just the two of us. They just let some random
goofball from the audience.
They let me just get. I said, look, here's a video of my jazz band. I can sing.
I see.
I would love to get up and play with you guys, and they said sure,
Wow.
which was not what I expected.
This is not going to happen in America, folks.
Right.
So if you are like Dan and you want to get up on stage, come to Asia.
I sang just the two of us, and then they said we want to do Superstition, and I don't know the lyrics off by heart, so I said you sing that, but I'll play along because I know that song. So then she sang Superstition. I did a great piano solo. Just the two of us went down really well. For some reason, that song always is a hit. And then I had loads of Koreans in the audience because in Laos there's just a bunch of Chinese and loads of Koreans.
They're not the same, but okay.
No, not the same. No, they're not the same. But I'm just saying, Laos is full of them. Both of those types of Asians. And one of the Koreans in the audience, as I was leaving, because I just did those 2 songs and then it was late, so I left. He grabbed me by the arm, and he was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, Dan. And he said, "You work here?" And I said, "No, I'm traveling here, get my visa." And he said, "But who are you?" He kept shouting, and then all these women were...
Must be someone famous.
Right. He said, "You play piano." I said, "Yeah, I do. You just saw me play." And it was fun. And that was just a great experience that I had in Vientiane. So just get out of your comfort zone and just, as Nike says, just do it.
You can't sing and play piano, and then don't go
Then
up on stage
do that.
in a hard rock
Don't
cafe.
ever do that.
Yeah, there should be a disclaimer on this podcast.
No, what's a cod past?
But that's when the fish, you shouldn't eat the fish.
You shouldn't eat
anymore.
that cod. It's
that
gone,
cod
it's
is
past.
It's dead. Well,
I think you are one of the oldest people to ever do a podcast. So we can get you in the Guinness records for that.
Well, anything at this point, if it makes money.
This podcast is going to be huge.
Pays for this
it's going to be huge.
This gardening that must be done. So I think we're at the end of our time. I don't know. What time do you think we are at?
I think we've been recording for some amount of time. It doesn't tell me on here.
Yeah, minutes. I know I'm out of stories. That's all the material I prepared. But I would like to say that we are going to start featuring our imitations, our humor.
Look, folks, 4 more years. Pause. That was a great video of Biden. A great one.
And you'll see that next time because Dan's referring to it. And I did, I think, a credible Arnold Schwarzenegger running for president.
Come on, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
What's with these guys? It's terrible.
It's terrible.
We'll be that was just a preview.
Your Schwarzenegger is great.
You'll be seeing that next time. And I think I can only do like muscular bald guys. So I'll be doing The Rock. Next time.
I'm
going to do Rock.
I'm
and
going to work
possibly
on that one.
Kevin Hart. But
can I ask you, who's going to win the Euros, the football?
Okay, so as most of you know in the footballing world, it's England versus Spain on what will be our Monday morning at 2 a.m., but it's during a normal time. I don't know. I think England's peaking. Yeah, I think England could win, but I'll take Spain. How about you?
You'll take Spain.
You'll take England.
I'll take England, but Spain will win.
Okay. So you heard it. Bet on Spain.
Yeah, 2-1.
Yeah,
we'll give you those
2
odds.
2-1. And anything else that you'd like to close with?
Well, stay tuned because Young Meat Soul, we've got great things in the pipeline. You're going to hypnotize me.
Yes.
And then I'll attempt to hypnotize you.
Maybe.
And then no one will be around to wake us up, so we'll both be screwed.
It'll be a 40-hour podcast of us both hypnotized.
We'll have a screwdriver.
Stay tuned for that.
And thanks for joining us here today.
Island breakfast and kombucha, and the next time we see you, we don't know where we'll be because we're going live on locations from now on.
I'm going to be 30 in 11 months.
Well,
It's ticking down.
we have a lot of podcasts to do until then.
Let's try and do one a week. That would be how many? If we do one a week?
44.
That's good math. Stay tuned for more math, biology, science, politics, religion, and more Young Meets Old next time.
And for those of you that aren't watching, if you have suggestions, just feel free to send them to Dan, and
Message
we'll
us.
do them. Imitations, maybe we could do impressions. Sure. Send us
That's
a load of.
that's chaos
Anyone who
theory.
sounds exactly like we do, we can do.
Right. I can do you. I can do a great Jeff.
Do it.
Right. Look. That's Biden. Right.
I sound like Biden.
It's an island breakfast. What it is, it's
Come
rum.
on, man.
Come on, it's rum.
on,
Look,
man.
I wasn't high at the time.
Yeah.
I was a little bit high.
I'm
All
not
right.
sleeping.
I'm not sleeping.
Sleepy. I'm not sleeping.
All right, stay tuned. See you soon. Over
Thank
and
you.
out. Cheers.